Do you naturally pull people into your conversations, or are you pushing them away and not realizing it? Have you ever thought about this before? There have been a number of people who have called me a magnetic communicator. And while I resonate with that, I haven't always understood what that meant. And then recently on a podcast, I had someone ask me, Dana, what does it mean to be a magnetic communicator? And I thought, if I don't figure this out pretty soon, I'm not going to be able to answer these questions and what it means. So I took some time and I dug into what that means for me, not necessarily for other people, but why maybe some people call me a magnetic communicator and not something else. So you might be thinking, well, Dana, what does it even mean to be a magnetic communicator? I understand. I had to think about that too. So here's kind of my definition for it. Magnetic communication is the ability to express yourself with clarity, confidence, and authenticity in a way that naturally draws people to you. It draws people in. It also builds trust and compels action to get people to do something. It's not just about speaking well. It's about deeply connecting with your audience, whether that's clients, investors, team members, or if you're even up on stage talking with a bunch of people like I do from time to time. And I think that is a pretty good definition of it from my perspective. Also, it includes a number of elements that I subconsciously use and consciously use to bring you in as I'm speaking to you. One of the things that I do is I try my best to look directly into the camera. Now, a lot of us take time to write notes out. Some of us don't. It really depends on you and your comfort level. I am one of those people that I can just start talking and talk and talk and talk and lose my place. So I have notes to kind of bring me back to make sure I'm staying on track, which is very important. But the other thing is when I'm with people personally and not just online, I make sure that I look them in the eye. I make sure that I take time to understand what is going on with them. I do it by asking questions. What is going on with you? That's a very simple one. But even if you ask the question, hi, how are you doing? And wait for the answer. Magnetic communication includes listening. It includes listening to the other party. It includes understanding who you're talking to. I asked you if you bring people into your conversations or you push people away in your conversations. I actually asked you a question, and while I can't hear your answer, I've talked with you enough times in different mediums to know that asking that question that makes you think deeply about those things. You probably thought, well, do I push people away or do I bring them in? The other thing, or the first thing that I want to talk about, in addition, I guess I should back up. It's not number one. Also, being authentic is really important. Your authenticity and your presence. I am not the most perfect speaker in the world. I'm going to mess up from time to time. That has been true for me for years and years and years. And you know what? That's okay. For a long time, I thought, I need to be able to say the perfect thing all the time, and I have to say it with conviction and really think through everything I say. But what happened was if I kept thinking through everything I would say or needed to say, I would go off on a tangent or I'd be super quiet and I wouldn't actually get the information out that I needed to get out. So if you mess up sometimes, that is totally okay. And if you're starting a YouTube channel or you're starting to get visible online or you have been visible online for a while but haven't really taken the step into too many videos, you might be thinking, oh, that's hard for me. And it is difficult for women especially, but anyone to say, I'm going to get out there online and I'm going to let people see me, especially if you've worked in corporate America before where you were worried about what everybody thought of you. If you're going to be online, you've got to push that away. Don't worry about what people think about you. Show up authentically you. Your presence is important as well. When you come online or when you speak on stage or when you're speaking with just really anybody in a networking setting or even family members, your presence is really important. That presence lets people know whether you have authority in something or not. If you're shirking back all the time and saying, I think I have something to say, and you say it very quietly and you're always trying to make yourself small, you don't come off as someone who knows what they're talking about, even if you know more about it than the person that you're speaking to. You have to come off with authority, and that means opening yourself up and making sure that people can see your hands if you're online, or even if you're up in front of a group of people using your hands. Our nonverbal communication is very important in creating presence for us. Some people will do the steepling because that actually indicates that you have command over something, or that tricks our minds into thinking that you have command over something, even if you don't. It also helps you as you're speaking. The other thing that I want to bring forward is you need to be intentional with your clarity. So you need to know how to craft your message that you're going to get out there um, in a way that resonates with other people. And you want to try to cut through all the noise of everything that's going on and making a complex idea feel simple and actionable and something that you can do. So when you're crafting a message that resonates, make sure you understand who you're talking to. I said this a little bit earlier, but let's take an example of speaking on stage. You have to understand who the people are in your audience to truly resonate with them. Now, as you know, I come from the senior living field, and I have spent my entire life working in senior living. And so I have a lot of knowledge that I've amassed over that time, over 20 years of knowledge that I've amassed. And I can't take the messages that I was able to craft for speaking to that audience over to entrepreneurs and speak with them in the same way. Their needs are different. Their expectations are different. Their experiences are different. So you need to understand who you're speaking to and what motivates them, what their needs are. Another way of thinking about that is, what are their biggest problems that they need solved? So if you can figure out what their biggest problems are that you need solved, you can do a couple things. You can speak to them in a way that they feel like you're speaking directly to them. The other thing that happens is you are speaking to them on their terms, and they feel like you know them before they even connect with you. So really understanding who your audience is and then crafting that message to them. One way that you can do this, if you're wanting to do a video online like this or on social media, maybe you're into lives, crafting your message, talk with the people who you know are in your audience ahead of time and find out what they want. It could be as simple as just asking a question or putting a poll out there. Or if you're a coach like I am, you can talk with the people that you coach and find out what they need and then put that information online. It's all about getting information and understanding where the other person is coming from. You are more invested in them than you are yourself. I think that's what makes us magnetic when we do that. The other thing that you really need to consider is emotional intelligence. It's a buzzword. People are talking about it all the time, but emotional intelligence is very, very important. If you've ever read the book, and forgive me, I don't know the author, we can put it in the show notes. But if you've ever read the book, Emotional Intelligence 2.0, I think it might have been, the second book that came out on emotional intelligence. One of the things that sticks with me all the time when I think about that book is people who have high emotional intelligence actually make more money. And I thought, well, if I'm going to make more money, I want to understand what emotional intelligence is, and I want to be able to hone that skill. And the beautiful thing about emotional intelligence is no matter where you are today, you can always learn more and you can always um, rise to that occasion. You can increase your emotional intelligence over time intentionally, and it gets better and better and better. And frankly, you need to have a high level of emotional intelligence if you're coaching people, if you're leading people. That is very important. If you don't have high level of emotional intelligence when you're leading people, you're not going to be a very good leader, because as soon as something is rough or there's some big issue where somebody's hair's on fire and they come to you and you don't have high emotional intelligence or a higher level of emotional intelligence, you're not going to be able to respond to them effectively. And that translates to the conversation that we're having here. If you understand how to read the room, how to read the people that you're talking to, and adapt your communication style to them and engage people on that emotional level that they're at, you're able to foster more connection. The more that you can think about or learn about emotional intelligence and how you can improve your own emotional intelligence, the better you will be communicating with people, regardless of the medium. You also need to have influence and persuasion. Influence is very important right now because we have a lot of people out there talking. You can see virtually anything on YouTube. You can see virtually anything on any of the other social media. There's a lot of people out there trying to make their place in this space. But when they're trying to pretend like they're somewhere else or someone else and don't focus on what their influence is, what their area of expertise is, what makes them unique, what makes you unique. When you know what that uniqueness is, you're able to influence people better. When I talk about aging, I'm able to influence people in aging because I have that experience and I'm able to bring that forward. Persuasion is kind of another thing. You can do this through storytelling. So when I opened up this video, I let you know, I had somebody ask me the other day while I was on a podcast, Dana, what is magnetic communication? And I was stumped. Have you ever been there? Think about that for a second. Have you ever been in a place where somebody asked you something on a podcast or a YouTube interview or something like that and you're stumped? Well, one way to show influence, one way to build the trust with your audience is to say, I don't know. I don't know, but I can find the answer and get back with you. Or I really don't know about that because I haven't thought deeply about it. That's what would actually cause me to think deeply about doing this video. What is magnetic communication? There was a time a couple of years ago when I was just starting out in my business, and I was being interviewed for a keynote position at a conference that was coming up. I didn't know anything about the conference. I didn't know anything about the person that I was talking to, but I did know their audience. I had experienced their audience. And so when I got on screen, I started asking a couple of questions, or quite a few questions, frankly, to the lady that was interviewing me and trying to figure out what really motivated that audience or their members, because it was with an association. And the more questions that I asked and I was able to relate to, she leaned in more and more and more to that conversation because I was drawing her in by asking the questions and trying to relate. She knew that I was more interested in her looking good and her audience feeling like they were getting what they wanted and they needed and the inspiration out of that talk that was important. She said, I've never met anybody who was more engaging online than I have you. And that made me feel really good because I was not intending to do that. I've just had a lot of time on video and I know what it takes to connect with a live audience. I've thought through what it takes to connect with you online. We talked a little bit about being strategic in your messaging. When you're doing that, you want to inspire belief and drive meaningful action, like I said in the What is Magnetic Communication. I had a post the other day on social media. A friend of mine, and I'm going to show it in this video, a friend of mine is a brand specialist, and she is amazing at marketing. I am always in awe in what she does. And she made this beautiful little thank you card. It said thank you on the back. And then she's got this little thing, womanpreneur power. It's beautiful. You can just pull it out. And it's a sticker that you can put on anything you want. So I can put it on my clothes, although it's not going to stick because I haven't taken the sticky off. I can put it on my clothes. I can put it on my laptop, whatever. But I love what it says, womanpreneur power. How does that make you feel if you're a woman? It makes you feel good because as entrepreneurs, we do have a power. We do have a voice to share out there with people. And so I got that. I put it on. I wrote a little bit about the power of women because after all, as I'm recording this, it is Women's History Month. And it's not lost on me that I am able to speak to you today because of the women who have gone for me that broke barriers to get me to this place. I've told people before, I'm not sure if I've said it on my YouTube channel or not, but I have told other people before that I can easily imagine or even feel my mother, my grandmother, my great-grandmothers, all of the women in my ancestors standing behind me and telling me, Dana, speak. Dana, use your voice for something good. Inspire others and teach others. And they're standing behind me. Even if you can't see them, they're clapping for me because they were not able to do that for a number of reasons. One, their voice might have been silenced. That was true for some of my great-grandmothers and my great-great-grandmothers. For others, it was because they didn't feel confident enough to have other people listen to them. They instilled that confidence in me. That was true for my grandmother and my mother. Their level of confidence wasn't as high maybe as mine is. And they wanted to make sure that I came forward in this world with a higher level of confidence than they had. And I also bring that forward to my daughters as well. So inspiring people to do more and to do better makes you more influential, and it also makes you magnetic. So I want you to go out there and I want you to use your voice however that works for you, whatever makes sense for you in what you're teaching or what you're speaking on, or maybe you're a writer. It's okay if you're not using your voice like I do. Write and use that voice inside your head that just goes right through your fingers into that keyboard and make a difference in this world. Confidence is very, very important. And I am so lucky that my mother and my grandmothers instilled confidence in me. And I'm not saying that my father or my grandfathers didn't, but because it's Women's History Month, I'm really focusing on them. But they instilled confidence in me to be able to go forth. I remember my mother telling me all the time, Dana, you could be whatever you want to be in this world. All you have to do is try. I always thought, I want to be, one of those people that is instantly, not famous, but instantly able to do all the things and not really have to try really hard at it. Well, the truth is, if you don't try hard at it, you're not going to learn what works for you and doesn't work for you. If you only learn what works for you, it's really easy to make mistakes. But if you make mistakes and choose to learn from them, it increases your confidence because you know what not to do, and it helps you to find more of what you do know. You want to command the stage. So if you're speaking on a stage or pitching an idea to an investor or leading a team, You want to communicate with a grounded magnetic energy that makes people pay attention. When I speak on camera, I make sure that my feet are on the floor and my butt is in the seat, and I feel that. And I get grounded before I speak on camera. It just makes me feel like I have more command of what I'm going to say. It may be tricking my mind, but it works for me, and I want to give it to you as an option if that helps you when you're on camera or on stage. Feel your feet on that stage and feel what it feels like. Get yourself grounded in the moment. And finally, engagement and dialogue. When I'm on YouTube like this, there's not a lot of dialogue back and forth that I can have with you verbally, but I can have dialogue and engagement with you in the comments. So if there's anything that I'm saying today that really resonates with you, or you're saying, Dana, you're full of crap, feel free to put it down there, because I want to know and I want to engage with you on that, because I may be wrong about something. Something that I've said today may be totally off base. And if I'm off base, I want to know about it. Although a lot of what I've said isn't off base because it's true for me. And so it wouldn't be off base for me, but it may be off base for how you come across. So I want to know, put that in the notes or in the comments, and we can interact on that. And dialogue is so important. And I'm going to give you a quick cheat to help you improve your dialogue with other people. You can use this for networking. You can use this for relationship with your family members, your kids, your parents, your spouse, your partner, your significant other, whatever is important that you want to, not whatever is important, but whatever relationship you would like to improve a little bit. The most important thing is to listen to them. Ask a question that requires them to talk a bit. And then just sit there and listen. And then learn from what they're saying. Sometimes it's really good to be able to repeat back to them what they said, or paraphrase what you heard them say so they know that you truly heard them. When you feel heard, you are more connected with the person that you're talking to. That's magnetism. That's just a form of magnetism. So you want to make sure that you're asking questions and listening. You don't want to have a monologue. This platform is mostly monologue, but I like to have conversations, which is why I do my interviews as well. Monologues, or what I used to call lectures, when my dad would lecture me trying to teach me something, uh, they were good lectures, really good information, but he never stopped long enough for me to ask a question if I didn't understand something, or give me a chance to provide my input or my perspective into something. So having those monologues, it actually separates you from someone. So make sure you're listening. Make sure you're asking questions, and make sure you're providing time for the person to answer the question that you asked. Your communication with someone invites their participation. So you can be pushing them away with that monologue, or you can be bringing them in by asking questions. You want to make others feel included in the conversation, and that motivates them to speak more. We want to help others find their voices, because some of us, I'm in the Gen X, wow, I can't even think of what it is, generation. I am in the Gen X generation, but the Gen X and before me have been silenced sometimes, and our voices weren't as important. And I want to make sure that everybody behind me and before me that I can interact with knows that their voice is important to me, and they're included in the conversation. The more we can include people in the conversation, the more we learn from each other, the more we can understand what's going on. We can support each other, and just ask questions. Ask questions. If you don't understand something, ask questions of people and get their perspective. You don't always have to take their perspective on things, but you learn from their perspective and where they're coming from. So the bottom line with being a magnetic communicator is this. It's about owning your voice and using it to create an impact on the world. Make sure that you're in alignment with your values of who you are. And if you want to know more about values, I have a video on that earlier this year. And you want to create momentum in your business. I'm going to say that again. You want to create momentum in your business. And you can do that by being a magnetic communicator. And leadership, if you're a magnetic communicator, you are going to be a fantastic leader because people are going to listen to you and they're going to want to follow you. So cast that vision. Cast that vision bright and big so people know what they're going towards. Own your voice today. Take a moment and honor yourself. Honor yourself for what you know, for all the challenges that you've come through, and for who you are. Use your voice to let others know who you are and get to know other people. Use your voice to get to know other people through asking questions. You know, being a magnetic communicator is something that happens over time. You're not going to watch this video and you're going to be a magnetic communicator after that. It's something that's honed over time. I did not become a magnetic communicator from day one. I had to work on it. And I had to work through the ideas of what it was and what it wasn't. And I had to listen to the voices that wanted to silence me because they didn't want to hear what I had to say. That's okay. I learned from every single one of those. And I have become more magnetic over time because I feel like I've experienced some of that stuff and I see it in people and I'm able to relate with that. So I'm going to end with a recent story. I love to listen to video on YouTube and I love to listen to podcasts. And one of the people that I've just recently started listening to is Russell Brunson. And you're probably thinking, well, where have you been? He's been around for a while. He's probably around my age or a little younger. But I knew he was around, but I had never taken time to listen to him. And recently, on his new Russell Brunson show, he made the comment that you start your YouTube, you start creating content, even if it's bad, even if it sucks. And you get out there and you do the video and you do it more and more over time. Because as you do these things and as you speak more, whether it be on stage or on video, you grow your voice. He says that. Other people say that. You find your voice in the moments of speaking. And even if you don't put it out there where anybody hears it, though I recommend that you do because people will resonate with you. But even if you don't put it out there, the more you get on video and the more you record yourself speaking, the more comfortable you're going to get in front of the camera and the more you find what you want to share with your audience. And it becomes more easy and it becomes, you see the flow in the conversation. And I've learned a lot from Russell just in the short time that I've even been aware of him, because he is fantastic at telling stories like I was talking about earlier. He can relate any story that's going on in the world with what he's trying to say in a video. Sometimes I'm really good at that and sometimes I'm not really good at that. But what I want to leave you with is your voice, like I said, is very, very important. Your voice needs to be heard. And you can hone it over time. And you can bring forth your knowledge and your experience because somebody out there needs and wants to hear what you have to say. They need that to get confident in getting out there and doing whatever it is that you're inspiring them to do. So ladies, during Women's History Month, take the time to use your voice. Take the time to get out there and take the time to be heard because you are important and I want to hear you. Thank you for joining me on Next Level Leadership today. I really want to hear what you think about this in the comments and I will reply. If you liked what I had to say and you want more of it, I would really appreciate it if you would subscribe to the channel. I think only 28% of people that listen to this channel, I don't even know if it's true right now because I haven't done those numbers for a while, actually subscribe to my channel. So please subscribe. And if you liked it, I'd love it if you would hit like or just share it with someone. Let somebody else know and share the information with them. Thank you so much again for joining me, for taking time, your precious time to listen to me. And I look forward to seeing you next time on Next Level Leadership.